Warren Andrews with BBN Sports here talking football with Chel Sanghera. You've got many titles, I guess, with the many associations you do work with. So we'll just refer to you as the First Lady of Football here in BC. How does that sound?
That's awesome. I'll take it. But the boys call me Mama Chel.
We'll go with Mama Chel then. So.
Yeah, sounds good.
How did this football journey start for you? When did you first get involved in football?
It's 2006. So when my son, my husband, when we had a son, he said he had to play football. So joined, and we went out to the field, and you know what? I was addicted right off the bat. Like, I loved it. I loved the community, the parents, what it did for the boys. I loved it. So right there at the Abbotsford Falcons, I was a Adam football mom. That's how we started. And my husband started coaching then. So right at Adam football for my son. That's how it all began.
How long was it before you started not just being a mom watching her son play, but a very involved mom that saw things that you wanted to help with, you wanted to be involved with, and use your personality to make better?
I was always a great mother. So I was always a great team mom. So I wasn't the manager that year or anything, but I loved it. My personality, as you know, is one that's, contagious. I got right behind it, loved it, got so involved in it. As time went on, I, joined the executive, and then was on the board for a few years, and then became the vice president, and then the president of Abbotsford Falcons. I then went on to being the vice president of the VCFL at the same time as being the Abbotsford Falcon president. And from there, became the VCFL president and sat on the BCCFA board on the President's Council. And, it just kept going. So it was a journey, definitely.
Now, football is one of those sports where you can be any size, any body shape, and find a role to play in it. In addition, there's all sorts of personalities of kids that play football. So for you, how meaningful is it when you see a kid that's maybe shy, very withdrawn, and by the end of their time, they are outgoing and they're a leader? What does that mean to you?
I've seen it all. I've seen, unskilled become skilled. I've seen guys who walked on, didn't know anybody, and make a ton of friends. They do come out of their shell, and it's all, how many years you play and how you embrace the sport. For me, that's the thing that keeps me here, is because it's the way that I can impact the kids. By being a part of the platform, you're changing lives. I always say about the life experiences that it gives you is so important in the safe environment, because you get, around people that you normally wouldn't be exposed to if you were just at home and not on a team of 35 kids or 24 kids with 8 coaches. So, the way they evolve as players is great, but the way that they evolve as human beings is so much better. And, I have, a fashion designer. I always tell everybody that. Models, I have apprentice guys, firefighters, car sales, but they're all great people. And so for me, that's my proud, is when the journey is done and they're just great guys.
So I'm going to ask you a really loaded, tough question now. Based on what you just talked about there, it's going to be hard narrowing down to a few, but are there a few players that have stepped out even a little above and have just gone beyond what you ever thought that they could do?
Oh, gosh, I love this question. So 2020 was, amazing for me for many reasons. My last child, I have 2 children, she's graduating, and, I did get the Pioneer Award from the Orange Helmet BC Lions Selection Committee, but most importantly, it's because of Chase Claypool being in the draft. And I think that was, I don't even, looking back, I don't even know how that happened. The first day I went to a football meeting, the head coach had called us up in Adam and said all the parents are coming before we even start practice and have a meeting. And that first day, I met Chase's mom. And, we became friends, obviously, along the way. But, my husband was coaching on there, and then he ended up coaching Chase from Atom all the way to Bantam. Along that journey, I had him, do the paper route with my son. They were on the team together. They played, till Bantam together, and then they went on to high school together. I watched that journey from day one. But the best thing, the whole thing I'm going to tell you is he was a kid to me. He was a kid. So, he went through so many challenges along the way. And I loved him. I just loved him because of the child he was and who he could score 10 touchdowns a game. He was going to take that ball and write it in, but that wasn't what it was about. He actually came to our home. He was at all the birthday parties, on the weekend we'd go to the lake. That's what the Falcons used to do. We'd go to the lake and, we'd throw the ball around. All that kind of stuff happened. But I remember when he was younger and we would go to fields and, people don't like to lose necessarily. And, having Chase on the team was awesome. But everybody on defense, most of the times he didn't play both ways. There were the odd games he did. But the general rule for my husband was, everybody's got to step up to the plate and embrace, the talent we have. We knew he was, phenomenal, but we got to back him. Two things, actually. The first thing was, along the way, everybody would say, well, he's not going to go anywhere. People that I absolutely adored, people that mentored me. There were people along the way that, were like, what are the stats, Chel? He's not going to go anywhere. I remember there was a time he went through something really big in junior bantam. And then as we were going into bantam, he said, I don't even want to play anymore. And, I could go to UBC and play basketball there and maybe do some football. But, basketball is my thing. So he got really, really, into this basketball thing. I phoned him. I got up in his face and I'm like, no, there's a lot of basketball players. You are going to play football. And even then, it was like high school, everything. You would see social media posts, the one-man band, he's not going anywhere, we'll see how far this comes. I took videos. I tracked him to the point that people would phone me and say, are you Chase's mom? Who are you to Chase? Like, why, are you taking these videos? At that time, it was a universal thing. Like, I was sending out to the universe, like, somebody see this guy. I didn't have the tools to get him anywhere, but I wanted that for him because I saw that he had the ability to go further than many of our kids here. And you know what? I took those videos and people started calling me and asking me about Chase. And, one guy, he saw it. He saw the videos and it was logged. He saw, it kind of standing at the side of the field, taking those videos. And a lot of people in the VCFL, they know that's what I do. And I take those videos and, I tell everybody take the videos, but nobody really wants to do it. I do. It excites me. And what happened is they became so important in that career path for him. So one gentleman saw it and he, got in there and he wanted Chase to go. So he started to, take Chase, train him, and then put him in front of universities. And I was there when he graduated and when they announced how many, people offered him, how many universities, how many colleges, and the coaches that called. It was just amazing. Just listening to him, have all these opportunities. I've never had that for a local boy. But the other thing I think that I also learned along this path is you have to ignore it. You've got to. And that helps me. When Chase was leaving to go to university, his mother went to throw a party for him to say goodbye. And that day, she phoned me to say it's going to be on May 23rd. Well, May 23rd, I've got 400 players, playing each other, 8 teams for a border bowl. And I started to cry. Because I wanted to be here. I waited that moment for him to have that goodbye off to Notre Dame University. But you know what? They all go. They're going to go, and I have to stay behind and help the next guy. So I had to go to the Border Bowl, and I was totally happy with it, and I was really excited. But that's what I do. You know, for me, this was going to be a great year for the draft and all that stuff, and we've got to see how that plays out. But you know, you got to be resilient, and you know what? You can't let anybody laugh at you. You can't let anybody laugh at what you're doing. As much as it was a journey for Chase, it was a journey for me, because everybody in BC knows I'm his biggest fan. And so, you know, I did do a lot of promotions, but I'm okay with it because it proved out to be awesome.
And for those that don't know, Chase Claypool, a wide receiver with Notre Dame, I think he's 6'5". He's got size. They consider him one of the best blocking receivers, not only catching the ball, but also knocking those DBs back, and projected to maybe go in the first round. So very exciting for the whole community, you know, and yourself.
And you know what? It's also explains to a lot of people nowadays, they you know, have to be involved in everything. So instead of focusing on their training and the goal, they are so desperate to go that they're not spending the time on their craft, on their academics, all those things that are so important. And, you know, Chase played one community team all the way to Bantam, and then he went to high school. That's all he did. He didn't do any outside programs other than train with Air Raid Academy at all. He stayed focused and committed to the goal, and I think that's the most important thing.
Well, just like Chase has been committed to his goal, you've been committed to your kids, as you said, your mama Chel, to hundreds and hundreds of young men throughout the years. And you've gone to the Orange Helmet Awards over the years, watched people that you love, your friends, and get the award from the BC Lions. And this time it was your turn. What did it mean to you? The Pioneer Award.
Well, my husband won the Orange Helmet for his Pee Wee team in they won the championships in 2009. And in 2010, they presented him with the award. When he went that year, I could have went, right? You get 2 tickets to go. And I said, take the DC, take the defensive coordinator. He worked on the team with you. You two go have a good time. And I remember driving them down there, downtown Vancouver, drove them down there, dropped them off. And I just wanted to be a part of that environment and see what it was like and be there for him and see him get his award. But I felt like, you know what, Coach Tony had to go. So I said, you'll win again someday and I'll go. I'll go, and it won't be the same because you're not going to be getting an award. I remember when they told me that they were going to give me the award, what really, I'm on that committee, and it's a bunch of men who have given to football a long time. And it's like the old boys club, really. And I'm on that committee to, you know, represent community football, BCCFA, and our coaches and our administrators that should be selected as well. When they asked me, you know, Chel, we would like to present that award to you, you know, I was blown away because the names on that list are usually men. And the criteria is usually, you know, you have been a coach, you've been on boards, you know, the impact that you made. One of the things they said to me is how we judge that award is if you weren't involved in football, what would it look like today? And I was really so excited when I got it, because he said, that's how we gauge it. Like, if you weren't involved, what would it look like today? And I was honored. And I was honored even more so that they actually looked past and could recognize a woman and her commitment to the game. So for me, whether I never expected to get it, to be honest, because of those reasons. And, you know, I'm a woman. I've never coached a team, although Coach Cole says I could go out there and run a great offense. But I'm not that person. I'm, you know, administrator, a promoter. I'm on Michelle. I didn't think that, you know, I would ever get this award. So for me, I got in the car. I was so excited. I drove home, and unfortunately, we couldn't have the orange helmets this year, and that's totally fine. But to be recognized, it's an honor. And my daughter stood at the front door when I came home from that meeting, and she was like, "Mom, I'm so proud of you." So I think, the lesson is you can be involved in things that you think are totally for men, or totally driven like with the majority of men. And a lot of these guys are, in the football world are not easy to deal with, and certainly do not want to hear it from a woman or a woman's perspective. Some of them are great. Like, I've been very blessed along the way in any leadership roles that I've had, because even the guys that, come in and I'm talking in their faces, and I can tell they want nothing to do with me. They don't like my whole positive spin. And what do I know? I'm a woman. Eventually, maybe sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 5 years. They'll say she's consistent. And I feel I am pretty consistent, and I'm always going to be there, sometimes even a lot longer than some of the dudes. So, I think for my daughter especially, who's probably sacrificed a lot for me to be who I am. I always say to her, thank you for letting your mom embrace her path as well. She could play victim and say, Mom, Dad, Taj, they're always on the football field, but she's proud of what we do, and she's very supportive. And I feel like maybe my journey will impact hers along the way. And most people who know her know that she's twice as passionate about life as me.
Well, Chel, congratulations to you and your family. A very well-deserved. That is Chel Sanghera, the winner of the Pioneer Award from the BC Lions and the Orange Helmet Awards. I'm Warren Andrews with BBN Sports.